right. With that, we keep on rolling further through hopefully a couple of more inspiring and amazing talks. So our next speaker, Luke Finney, is a founder of Terminal and leading their international expansion. Terminal is the tech-enabled platform for remote engineering teams. And before that, he spent time in the US Navy leading teams internationally and in Latin America at a private equity company before he moved to San Francisco to start Terminal. And besides being a very international person in his personal life, he enjoys all things high adrenaline, such as diving, endurance events, and while flying airplanes. And he is going to share his insights into considerations for growing your team. Please welcome Luke Finney.
Thank you so much, Philippe, and mulțumesc to you and Vlad and the whole team at Texylvania. It's incredible to be able to pull off a virtual event like this, not only with global participants and a global audience, but at various time zones around the world. I have a strong connection with Romania. I've spent a little bit of time there and look forward to being able to be back there in person. So really appreciate it. I'll start off just quickly here. So to everyone, I'm very excited to share with you these considerations for team building, and I'll keep it to the point today, really focused around actually the success factors when building your remote team. As we kick it off, why am I particularly talking about this? As Philippe said, I've been fortunate to live, work in multiple different places, as I'm sure many of you have. I think this is a pretty international group. And based on those experiences that I had in my prior lives, I looked at, and my co-founder and I looked at the way that companies engaged with very smart, hardworking, and entrepreneurial people in other countries. And we felt like there wasn't a platform that connected people and rapidly scaling venture-backed companies in a super meaningful, long-term, transformational way. And so we set out to build that with Terminal. I'll go into a little bit more of what Terminal is here in the next couple slides, but just right away, a quick agenda. It's very simple. So I want to give you a little bit of an introduction on Terminal. Why would you consider remote teams? And then key ingredients for that remote success. So as we go on to Terminal, and a quick plug here, we started in 2017. Now we're at 75 employees. We've been fortunate to raise over $30 million from some really fantastic investors you can see there. And we've hired about almost 400 software engineers to date across Canada, the United States, Mexico, and soon Colombia. We've done that for a variety of really strong companies, which you can see here. More than a few are considered unicorns, but there's also some really early stage companies there. And I think what I hope to talk about today will be relevant for all stage of company. We like to really brag about the people that we've hired, and some quick stats. This is fairly Canada-centric, as we've started our Latin American expansion really in the last year or so. And some of the data that I'm going to be showing here next is actually derived from our own survey that we did across those software engineers. But I think it really represents a problem that people here, that entrepreneurs can solve for to be able to build better companies. And what is that problem? You can see here, tech hubs are losing their pull. It used to be you needed to move to Berlin or London or New York or San Francisco to be able to have access to high growth companies and really high quality opportunities that would accelerate your career. I don't think that's the case any longer. And this study showcases that 40% of engineers say they would not consider relocation. And actually a really interesting stat, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner here, 13% say that there is no amount of money that could get them to move away. I can certainly understand that, being amongst family, with a community, understanding, the unique aspects of where you want to live, be it Romania or other places in the world. In a world where we're now increasingly working remote from home, uh, I think the potential benefit is immense for companies to really think in a smart way about engaging with these software engineers. Now, if you look at remote, uh, it's no longer optional, as we all have experienced over the last few months, but it certainly has its pitfalls, and I feel that everyone is getting used to that. But a couple of the key points. 45% of the engineers that we surveyed said they lack day-to-day interactions. They had a difficulty collaborating, and 30% worried about visibility for career development. And I'll dive into that a little bit deeper in further slides. But some good data points to think about as you consider how to build remote, how to manage remote, and ensure that your company can be successful in this more efficient way to build your company and your teams. Oh, looks like I didn't click. Apologies. So there's that slide. And as we move forward, what are the core pillars to remote success? So we at Terminal have come up with these four as really being critical. We believe strongly in time zone alignment. The reason for that being, it's hard to bounce ideas off each other, collaborate on a new idea if you're waiting for multiple hours to get a response back from someone. We found it's incredibly helpful, even if you're an 8-hour flight away from somebody, to be on the same time zone, working at the same time, so you can get a quick feedback loop. That second pillar, finding the places where there isn't as much competition. There's a lot in the Bay Area, there's a lot in major urban centers, but there are still really high quality people everywhere. And it just takes a little bit of extra work to find those individuals. That third one, looking across multiple different markets. In the past, it made sense to build your team location, made sure that everybody came into the office. Now, if everyone's remote, why would you restrict your recruiting to just one country, just one state, just one area? It makes sense to be able to build across a wide variety. And this last one is what I think is easy to forget, but very critical. Having the right sort of support and community. And that means something different in a remote environment than it did when everyone was in the office. So I'll talk about that a little bit further as we go through these different key ingredients. So for our key ingredients, this first one, environment. It speaks a little bit to that core pillar of support. Employers could make sure that they have a good office environment, and Google and others, Facebook included, made a strong statement about their workplace being somewhere where you could work and eat and be comfortable and get your dry cleaning done and everything else. Those sorts of services, obviously, when you're sitting in a small apartment in some city, are not available. And so it's important for employers to think about ways that they can reuse that capital that would have gone towards snacks in the office, towards supporting individuals in their home, wherever they're choosing to work. That's a really key component as you think about the success metrics or the success factors in making sure that your remote team continues to be effective and be in contributing fully to the company. You can see this key ingredient number 2, time zone alignment. As I said before, really critical to be able to collaborate with the team, and it also contributes to this aspect of them not feeling like they're out on their own. Key ingredient number 3, tech enablement. I want to take a little bit of time here because I think it's critical to distinguish between just having the tools and using the tools in a purposeful way. There's a lot of companies that will sign up for Slack, that will sign up for video. There's certainly many services coming out that will allow you to have a better connection, always on video, those sorts of things. But I would say that the tool itself is actually less important than how you use it. And how you use it is important because it sets the guidelines and the expectations, as well as some sort of a schedule around how to work, how to interact and communicate. As people are shifting from being in office, or even if it's infrequently, to a fully remote sort of environment, the very operational aspects of how do you convey information, what's acceptable, what time zones are you working on, are people taking off in the middle of the day because they need to take care of their kids, those sorts of things, and being mindful around the procedures for talking with these different tools and services become really key. The next key ingredient is that commitment to the employee experience. At Terminal, we really care about that support aspect, and we've built out a very strong learning and development program. Even as a small company, I think it's well worth the resources, time, and effort to be able to put into learning and development as a way to encourage your employees to not only stick around, but really invest themselves in the company's mission. We've seen a huge increase in satisfaction as well as productivity when you offer folks, again, spread around the world, an opportunity to learn and develop in their careers. Key ingredient number 5 is really enabling your people. So in line with learning and development, a lot of the success comes down to the managers. They're the ones that are enforcing that sort of purposeful engagement with the tech platforms and systems that you use to communicate. They're the ones that are checking in and maintaining a personal relationship, even though it's only through Zoom, and really identifying, being proactive about identifying if there are any issues or being able to work through challenges that come up on a personal level. And finally, ingredient number 6, the team structure. As you're thinking about building your team, and some considerations are, how do you build that? You can augment that team. You can build a team with a very strong lead first, or you can have a standalone pod that is responsible completely for one product or one feature set amongst your larger product. There are pros and cons as are laid out here on the slide. If you want speed, bringing in some temporary folks is probably the right way to go. But if you're looking for versatility, ownership, and long-term value, then we have seen a lot of success with companies driving towards a standalone pod, where that remote group, wherever they may be, has the organizational capital to be able to make decisions around that product, that feature, and that really drives, again, going back to retention, going back to satisfaction in the job. It creates success not only for those employees, but also for you as a company. So that was very quick run through of a variety of the different key ingredients, some of the core pillars that we really believe in, that time zone alignment for collaboration, looking in maybe non-popular markets for high quality talent, as well as really thinking strongly about the learning, development, and professional careers of those folks that are working with you. I'm very excited to be able to share this with everyone here. And I think we'll have a Q&A session coming up shortly after this for anybody that wants to dive into any of the deeper details. But thanks so much, and I hope everyone here has learned a little bit. And please feel free to reach out to me personally if you have additional questions.
Thank you so much, Luke. This was quite fantastic. And I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy asking you direct questions in the Q&A stage. So for all of the audience members, you can jump straight into the sessions and then into the Q&A stage with Luke, where he'll be live in like 1-2 minutes right after this. So thank you very much for being with us virtually, Luke, and looking forward to have you in the Q&A stage.
Thank you for setting this up, and I appreciate the opportunity.